Hey guys, welcome back to another video with Pinscher Nation. My name's Nate once again. And so if you've ever clipped your dog's nails, then you definitely know there's a lot of challenges that come with it. We're talking possible bleeding. We're talking dog, anxiety, like they're judging you, right? And then also we're talking about owner anxiety, right? You're pretty much judging yourself after they've got done judging you, right? Well, what is the solution to this? Well, the solution is hitting that like button actually right now. Just kidding. The actual solution to this is a nail grinder. So if you've never had a nail grinder before or never used them, basically they're a great alternative to actually the nail clipping. So in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about the nail grinder, how you can use it, and also, why do you need to clip the dog's nails to begin with, right? Okay, so let's get right to it here. So when you talk about why do we clip, a dog's nails or grind it or, any type of fashion like that. Well, if you look at a dog's nails, right, they grow just like, our nails grow. Well, the issue with their nails is if they grow too long, then basically they're going to potentially start having issues, right? So a dog's nails should really never get past the point where they're basically touching the floor, when they extend out. If they're touching the floor, basically you can know this by if you hear them, walking on some type of hard surface and you kind of hear the noise of their nails, that means that their nails have grown too long. And so the big issue really becomes is over time, their nails are going to continue to grow, and then what will happen is a lot of nails, they'll start to curl under, and then it could be to the point that you have not only long nails now, but also they've curled under and they start to curl up into the dog's paw pad, which is not a good day for you and really not a good day, going back to the judging part even more, with your min pin dog. So you've got to do something about it. Now, I hate clipping dogs' nails, my dog's nails. Now, why do I use a grinder? I didn't use a grinder for a long time, but why did I use a grinder? Now, some people, they are great at clipping dogs' nails and they're professionals at it and they do it and they're great at it and I respect you. But for the rest of us out here, I don't usually recommend it because it is super hard. Why is it hard for min pins over other dogs? Well, that's because everyone that owns a min pin at home knows that the nails on the min pin are super dark, right? So when you're going to clip a nail, and this is why most people don't like it, including me, there's something called a quick. And so we'll throw up a picture here so you can see that there's actually a quick, which is actually the blood vessel that is inside of the dog's nails. And if you clip the dog's nails, or even grind it, which it can happen with the grinder too far down into the quick, then it will cause the dog to bleed. Now, a couple things. One, if you do cut the quick, because it's going to happen, first of all, get over it. It's going to be okay, because while it is going to bleed, the dog's not going to like it. Judgment's going to happen on you a little bit, like we've talked about. There's a way to stop it. You can use some stipic powder. You can use some type of paste, you can put on it, and it will kind of, stop that, and it will clot, and it will be okay. So, it's going to be fine if it does happen, but we don't want it to happen, obviously. Well, it's much less likely to happen if you use one of these grinders. So that's kind of why we went that route. As much as I want to say that you can use a grinder all the time, if you've never clipped your dog's nails before, or if you haven't done it in a while, I would say, and it is starting to it's kind of curl over. It's possible to grind it from there, but it's definitely a lot more effective to clip it, at least at the point where it started to curl under. Now, here's the thing you got to remember with clipping or grinding the nails, right? So we talked about the quick already, right? And that's something that you cut or grind too far into, then you do run a risk of breaking that blood vessel open and causing, the dog to bleed. Well, the problem is as the nail continues to grow, that blood vessel, kind of the quick, continues to grow out with it. So if you haven't, trimmed your dog's nails in a long time, then, and you're doing it for the first time, or like I said, it's been a while, then you got to remember that you can't just go all the way back to what it should look like based on like a picture that we showed you maybe earlier. you have to kind of take it a little bit at a time. So if you haven't done it regularly, then the best advice you need to do is you need to, take your grinder here, which, like I said, these are great. Or if it's starting to curl over and you need to use some type of clippers up front. Either way, you need to clip a little bit at a time, right? So clip a little bit at a time, and basically you're going to be clipping to the point that you can actually see where it's starting to turn a little white color, and that's actually kind of right before you're going to hit that quick, and then you need to stop, right? Like I said, whether you're using the grinder, the clipper, whatever it is, you need to stop at that point, and what will happen with the blood vessel is it will actually start to recede further into the dogs, back up the dog's nails, into their further back, I guess. So, and then what you need to do is you need to take about a day or two later, and then you need to trim them again. So you're gonna be doing this for about a week, week and a half, every couple of days until finally you have them back to where they're supposed to be. And then now beyond that, usually, once you do it, you can probably get away with about monthly to 6 weeks, depending on how fast, you'll learn that your mitten pins nails grow. But make sure at that point that you keep up with it regularly so you don't run back into having to do this process again. So what are some pros and cons of both? So we've kind of talked a little bit already, but just to kind of list them out here. So, the pro for the nail clip is it's going to be a quicker process once you can get good at it compared to the nail grinder. It's going to be less annoying for the dog once they understand it, because they're not going to hear the noise. Potentially, they're not going to get scared of the nail grinder, and they're not going to also just, the smell sometimes is not the greatest either. So it's going to be quicker, it's going to be cleaner, and then also, as long as you keep them sharp and everything, you're probably going to be able to use it for quite some time. And it's not battery operated, and a lot of times it's a smaller device, the clippers. So it's just kind of easy transport as well. Now, some of the cons to the nail clip is kind of like we said before. Clipping them, it can definitely be a very tedious process as far as making sure you do it correctly, especially with dark nails like min pins have. And so if you're not a professional kind of at doing that, then you do run the risk of causing them to bleed a lot easier than you would have using another device like a grinder. So what are some pros of using the nail grinder? Well, the number one pros of the nail grinder is that it's usually a little bit easier to use, and it's a little more fail-safe to not actually cutting into the dogs quick. It is still possible if you grind it down too far for it to happen, but usually you can see it coming and you can kind of stop ahead of time. Okay, so what about some cons? Some cons to it is like we kind of talked about with the nail clipping. It's the smell, the sound, for some of them, if you can kind of hear it, can be kind of a loud noise, and so it can scare some dogs. And also, like the smell is not the greatest, and it is kind of messy because it's going to obviously, the nail shavings and stuff are going to kind of go a little bit further off. And you do have the problem of, you do have to charge them up. Luckily, like this one here, comes with just a nice USB charger, which is real nice, and it charges up and it stays charged for quite some time. I have 2 min pins, as most of you know, and we basically do multiple clippings with them, really, and it does keep it charged in between, so it doesn't take a whole lot to charge it, but any USB device will be able to charge it. But that is obviously something, if you forget to charge it, then now obviously it's not going to work. And it can make it a little bit more bulky, even though this one's pretty standard and pretty small size where you can kind of take it anywhere. Okay, so now let's actually talk about a few best practices with grinding the dog's nails. So like we kind of said, some of the cons that are going to be is going to be that smell, it's going to be that noise usually. So I would definitely start by just introducing it slow to your min pin. Kind of show them the grinder, kind of just let them look at it, smell it, and then definitely and then turn it on when they're ready. And but don't actually grind their nails that first time. Just kind of show them that you can turn on and show them that it's not a bad thing. And then we want to do kind of an association method, right? So just turn the grinder on and then feed them a treat and show them that when this is on, they get a treat. And then just turn it off, and then come back maybe later, a little bit later that day, maybe the next day, depending on what's going on, and do that same process again. So if you introduce them even before they even need their nails nails grinded down. We talk about that a lot with handling them outside of the actual task at hand. Well, this is one of those cases. So make sure you do the things, you show them the grinder, and then once they feel comfortable and you feel comfortable, because that's usually a big thing too, is are you ready? Then go ahead and start your session. And I would recommend no more than 2 paws at a time, especially starting off. Now, for some, it could be you do 1 paw and that's kind of all you can get through. But what you're going to grind, basically you're going to start grinding it down. And when you're grinding it down, you're kind of, you need to make sure that you're, getting all of it, right? So it's unlike the clipping, you need to kind of do, kind of like you're grinding, and if you're like, we're polishing it almost at the same time. So you're going to kind of do round it off. And then you got to make sure, because underneath the nail is kind of some other, it will kind of grow out as well. So you need to kind of get all of that as well. And basically just grind it. And the main thing is, it's like if you grinded anything before, it's not a continuous, pressing on it, because it will get hot and it, will start to, burn the dog's nail and it will hurt. So make sure you're just doing, a few, 2 to 4 seconds max at a time, then you're pulling it off and you keep going, and, you'll get kind of a rhythm with it, and your dog will start to learn. And obviously, if you can have help the first few times you do this, it'll be super helpful for you and for your min pin. And that person can really love on them, give them treats, and be the good guy, really, as you kind of do this process. Okay, so once you've kind of done all the nail grinding, everything, you're probably going to need a shower, and your dog's probably going to need a bath as well. We like to kind of line our baths up with our nail clipping and grinding. So if you are getting your min pin a bath and you have any issues, definitely we did a video about how to give a min pin a bath and kind of help them if you have some anxious dogs in there. So you can check that video out over here. And if you are looking for this nail grinder, we are going to include it down in the description below if you want to check out the one that we have. And there's a lot obviously available to buy. So go check out that if you're interested. And like I said, go check out this video over here as well. We'll see you in that video.